So Kyle right here is doing what most of us look at or calls a bird dog. Very popular exercise for core stability, back strengthening, whatever you want to say. A couple of little tips here. Kyle, go ahead and do a bad one. That's the problem you see quite often is people do a bad rep where that leg comes up too far. And really what you want to think about is you got to keep the back stable, but I don't want to overcoach it. Think about making yourself long. So long, and instead of bringing the foot up, think about just taking your hand out and your foot back and don't raise it above the butt when you're doing this exercise. The other thing is people don't finish the motion. So go out, hip extension, shoulder flexion, now go in, touch elbow to knee. So if you're gonna do this, go ahead and finish that motion because it's just as much about stability here and stability on this opposite hip as it is about stability in your spine. But you can't go into hyperextension of that spine and let that foot go up and you lose stability here. Now here's the thing. We're gonna add a band to this exercise because the band is gonna give Kyle the feedback he needs to do this correctly. So instead of coaching him through it, I'm just gonna have Kyle wrap the band around his hands and around his foot. Now what the band is gonna do when Kyle takes his right arm out and left leg back, is gonna create that compression of the spine. And that compression of the spine, and go back down, the only thing we lose here is that going to touch elbow to knee. But go back out. So that compression of the spine is what automatically creates better core engagement. Back down. It's not about adding resistance to just add resistance like we do when we're doing a bicep curl or a bench press. This resistance we're adding creates feedback. Go again. And anytime you compress the joint, which is what we're doing here at a very long lever angle to the low back and the spine, anytime you compress a joint, your brain automatically kicks in the stabilizers. Think about your rotator cuff. Your rotator cuff is here to protect and position your shoulder joint, not just do internal or external rotation. So when we create that compression, go ahead, Kyle. And now, obviously, we're creating a little bit of compression on the spine. We don't want to let the spine collapse down upon itself. So those small little stability muscles create better joint positioning and creating that compression. Or another thing is distracting the joints is where we can get that automatic response, that what we call reflex stabilization. So adding the resistance this way is just as much about creating feedback to create better stabilization, not just about adding resistance.